Get ready for the biggest stories moving the world of sports today. Spain has a brand new tennis sensation, making serious waves on the world stage. 19-year-old Rafael Jódar is officially the name to watch after a stunning debut win at the Madrid Open, where he took down Jesper de Jong in a thriller.
Never run out of battery again with the INIU portable charger, the slimmest 10,000 mAh power bank that keeps your devices charged on the go. Stay powered up wherever you go. Click the link in the video description to shop now on Amazon.
Jódar did not just stop at the victory either. He celebrated by channeling his inner soccer star and paying tribute to Real Madrid icon Jude Bellingham right there on the court. It was a massive moment that had the crowd and even Bellingham himself cheering in the stands. We are also diving deep into the archives to revisit the most shocking moment in the history of the Australian Open. 36 years later, Tennis Australia is finally pulling back the curtain on the infamous 1990 default of the legendary John McEnroe. The new podcast series titled Snap takes you inside that heated day in Melbourne with incredible insight from stars like Jim Courier and Todd Woodbridge. You do not want to miss these exclusive details on how a single match changed tennis officiating forever. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on so you never miss an update. Ever wondered what it looks like when two worlds of sports royalty collide in the most epic way possible? Picture this. You're a 19-year-old tennis prodigy, making your grand debut at the Madrid Open, and who's sitting in the stands watching your every move? None other than global soccer icon Jude Bellingham. After battling for 2.5 grueling hours to pull off an incredible comeback win against Jesper de Jong, Rafael Jódar didn't just celebrate, he paid tribute. He threw his arms wide open, iconic Bellingham style, and scribbled, "Hey Jude," on the camera lens for the world to see. It's the kind of crossover moment that reminds us how athletes fuel each other's greatness. Jódar, a local Madrid kid and a die-hard Real Madrid fan, was clearly riding a wave of adrenaline. Getting a nod of approval from Bellingham himself. That's the stuff dreams are made of. This win wasn't just a highlight reel moment, though. It was a massive career milestone. By securing this victory before his 20th birthday, Jódar joins the elite company of legends like Rafael Nadal and Carlos Alcaraz. Let that sink in for a second. This kid who was ranked outside the top 600 just last year is now sitting at number 42 in the world. He's been on an absolute tear, recently snagging his first ATP title in Marrakesh, and his momentum is officially unstoppable as he heads into a high-stakes showdown against Alex de Minaur. If this is just his opening act, I can't wait to see how the rest of his career unfolds. Do you think Jódar has what it takes to climb into the top 20 this year? Smash that like button if you think this kid is the next big thing in tennis, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss his next battle on court. Remember, even the biggest stars started with a dream, so keep chasing yours. Ever wondered what it takes to get kicked out of a Grand Slam? Picture this. It is 1990 in Melbourne, and the tennis world is about to witness an absolute meltdown for the history books. We all know John McEnroe for his iconic catchphrase, "You cannot be serious." But back in January of that year, he found out the hard way that the officials were indeed very serious. McEnroe, a man who redefined intensity on the court, became the first player in the Open era to be defaulted from a Grand Slam tournament. It was a moment of pure, unadulterated tennis chaos that left spectators stunned. Now, over 3 decades later, Tennis Australia is diving back into the archives, dusting off the footage to remind longtime fans of that explosive day, and perhaps introduce a whole new generation of millennials to the sheer unpredictability of tennis royalty. It is a wild reminder that even the greatest legends are human, and sometimes the fire that drives you to 7 Grand Slam titles is the same one that burns down your tournament run. What do you think? Was the officiating fair, or did the rules just get in the way of a classic showdown? Drop a comment below to let us know your take, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into sports history. After all, the best stories aren't just about who won the trophy, but about the moments when everything fell apart. Imagine standing in the sweltering heat of Melbourne, 104 degrees Fahrenheit, with 15,000 fans watching, and suddenly the biggest star in the sport is told his match is over. Not because he lost, but because he was disqualified. We all know the line, "You cannot be serious." But back in 1990, John McEnroe found out the hard way that the rules were very serious indeed. 36 years later, Tennis Australia is taking us back to that chaotic Sunday in the new podcast series, Snap! The John McEnroe Default Saga. It's a fascinating look at the moment that changed tennis officiating forever. Featuring insights from legends like Jim Courier and Tim Henman, the podcast explores how McEnroe's volatile reputation finally caught up with him during that fourth-round clash against Mikkel Pernfors. What really happened? Well, it was a perfect storm of mounting code violations, first for intimidating a lineswoman, then for racket abuse. When the tournament supervisor arrived and the dust settled, umpire Jerry Armstrong uttered the words that stunned the stadium. "Default, Mr. McEnroe." Interestingly, McEnroe later admitted he didn't even realize the rules had changed that year, moving from a 4-step to a 3-step disqualification process. It's a classic cautionary tale of how even the greatest players can get lost in their own frustration. Whether you're a tennis historian or just love a good sports drama, this series is a must-listen. It reminds us that while icons make the game exciting, no one is bigger than the rules. So, what do you think? Was McEnroe a victim of the rules or the architect of his own downfall? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into sports history. History has a funny way of repeating itself, but some moments are just impossible to forget. We all know the catchphrase, "You cannot be serious." But what happens when the man behind the most iconic line in tennis history takes things a step too far? Today, we're heading back to Melbourne, 1990, to revisit the moment that shocked the sporting world. John McEnroe's historic default from the Australian Open. It was the first time in the Open era that a player was sent packing from a Grand Slam in such a dramatic fashion, and frankly, it still feels like a fever dream. Tennis Australia is now dusting off the archives with a new 4-part podcast series, Snap! The John McEnroe Default Saga, featuring heavy hitters like Jim Courier, Todd Woodbridge, and Patrick McEnroe. It's not just a trip down memory lane, it's an autopsy of a moment that fundamentally changed how we officiate and perceive the sport. Let's set the scene. It was a blistering 104 degrees Fahrenheit, and McEnroe was locked in a grueling battle against Mikkel Pernfors. Tensions were sky-high, and McEnroe was pushing every boundary he could find. When he received a code violation for intimidating a lineswoman, followed by another for racket abuse, the chair umpire, Jerry Armstrong, had finally seen enough. He uttered the words that echoed around the stadium. "Default! Game, set, match!" The crowd of 15,000 went absolutely feral. McEnroe later admitted he hadn't fully grasped the updated rules. A classic, "I have no one to blame but myself" moment. But the fallout reached far beyond that single afternoon. We've seen other high-profile defaults since, from Tim Henman's accident at Wimbledon to Novak Djokovic's disqualification at the 2020 US Open. But the McEnroe incident remains the gold standard for pure, unadulterated tennis chaos. Why does this still resonate 36 years later? Because it serves as a reminder that even the legends aren't bigger than the game itself. Make sure to check out the podcast series to hear the untold stories from the people who were actually on the court that day. Do you think McEnroe was unfairly targeted, or was his exit inevitable given his reputation? Let me know your take in the comments, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more deep dives into sports history. After all, if we don't learn from the past, we're bound to repeat the drama.